It's a rainy spring day at the BC Cranberry Research Farm in Delta, but that isn't stopping this field crew. They're planting some new cranberry vines that will be carefully observed for many years. It's all part of research that's focused on ensuring a solid future for BC's cranberry industry.
Is that yellow one at the
that's
edge?
the very last one.
Okay.
Dr. Renee Prasad is the field tech at the research farm.
So what we have are 4 different varieties that we're growing in the greenhouse. We're just sort of slowly increasing the number of plots we have in Field 2.
She's getting help today from this group of students from the University of the Fraser Valley.
Every year, ES takes on about 4 practicum students from UFV. They help us with monitoring, and then on Fridays they work with me on the different research projects. So they've been out twice now to the Cranberry Research Farm, helping with the plantings of the new plots.
How's the soil?
It's wonderful. Nice and moist.
The BC Cranberry Research Farm had its official opening in September of 2014. After years of planning, clearing the forested property, creating 5 fields, installing the irrigation and pumping system, constructing a maintenance building, and beginning the planting of varieties to be tested. The end result is a compact and fully functional cranberry farm. Now, in 2015, everything's in place and the full research program can begin. And the research team has a number of goals it's focusing on this year.
The first one is to continue to monitor the performance of the different varieties here at the farm, including collecting data on their the development. It's actually interesting because even though there's that color difference, when I look at the level of the buds, they're actually sort of at the same place, which surprises me, but which is why I like doing this, because I'm learning so many new things. But they're pretty much at the same place that the previous variety was at. Another goal is to get yield data from the varieties that were planted 2 years ago, so that will be an important goal. And then the third objective is to start doing getting the whole farm on a regular pest management program in terms of monitoring and management. And then we'll also be looking at the different varieties in terms of things like fruit rot and fungal diseases that might be more prevalent in one variety versus the other.
Monitoring the performance of the different varieties requires regular visits to each test plot during the growing season.
We're in Bog 1, and I'm in the Crimson Queen plot. And what we've been doing since March, is coming out every 2 to 3 weeks and looking at how the plants are progressing in terms of their timing for coming out of dormancy. And then we'll continue to do this all through the growing season to find out when things initiate the different phases of the development of the uprights, from the breaking of dormancy through to the making of flowers. And we just want to continue this right through again till they are ready for harvest. So some of the other things we will look at again are when the flowers start, and then when there's berries, and then when the berries start to color up. That's another important milestone that we look for each of the varieties.
And this fall, for the first time, researchers will measure the crop yield of the different cranberry varieties being tested here.
Last year, all we did with the berries was we collected a very small number from Bog 1, and we had them examined for some of the traits that are important for cranberry quality, like bricks and tassie, which Ocean Spray uses. This year we're going to do a yield assessment, so that's exciting. It'll be the first year to get some yield data on the performance of these varieties at this site. We're going to follow a very strict protocol. Dr. Nick Vorsa has a protocol that he uses, and so we're going to follow that protocol so that our results here will speak with his results in other places.
When it comes to pest management, you've got to get down close to the vines and take a close look.
I'm looking for black-headed fireworm. That's the main insect pest of cranberries. So the way that we monitor for it is it'll be spread throughout the field, but looking at the edge increases the chances we'll find them. If they're there, you'll find them, but there definitely is an element of needle in the haystack. So you do have to make sure that you're monitoring for them on a very regular basis and that you have sort of a systematic way of looking for them. Well, its name is fireworm for a reason, and if you don't manage it, then they will defoliate the cranberries so that essentially it looks like it's been burned. And then potentially the larva can also go into the fruit. So these are two bad effects if fireworm isn't managed.
When you visit the research farm, you'll notice the difference in the size of plots between bog number 1 on the east side and bog number 2, which is the middle field.
Bogs 1 and 2 both have different varieties in them. In bog 1, we have much larger plots of 10 different varieties. So what you're able to do with the larger plots is we can do, for example, a herbicide trial or a fungicide trial, and we can do replications of within each variety and then throughout the field. So that way, for example, you can see if some fungicides maybe have adverse effects on the growth of some varieties but not others. That would be important to know. You could also do different fertilizer trials as well.
These smaller plots are all about productivity. BC needs higher yielding varieties, and in one of these squares there may be a variety that will provide a big jump in output for BC's cranberry farms in the future.
In bog 2, on the other hand, there are more varieties and they're smaller plots. So that is much more targeted towards really just assessing the growth and the performance of each variety.
The BC Cranberry Research Farm is the first of its kind in Canada.
It's great to have a place where trials can be done. One of the challenges of doing any sort of research is making sure that it's done at the scale that would be relevant to farmers. But then in terms of the research being sound scientifically, we need things like replication, lots of replicates. And so it's hard to get both of those things together on a production farm, on a grower's farm. So a research farm allows you to do things at the scale that's relevant to farmers, but also be able to have all the criteria that are necessary for good science.
And the scientific research done here will give BC's cranberry growers the confidence to plant new, more productive varieties, knowing that they've undergone long-term trials right here in BC and are suited for our local climate and growing conditions.